Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Towns. In the previous episode we set up the station for our new advanced circuit outpost. We're up in the north by a couple of little copper deposits, and in today's episode we are going to be setting up the actual production of the advanced circuits and have a bit of train stuff involved in that. So I'm just checking the map now to work out how the trains will work. We will need copper and plastic delivered in, both of which are not copper. Circuits and plastic delivered in, both of which are produced in towns already. So we're starting to get there now. We're starting to get some we're getting to the point where we want to when we want to make some new bit of technology. We already have towns providing all the equipment. There's still a lot, a fair distance to go with making different towns. I need to make a separate iron town and a copper town, probably a separate steel town, maybe a stone town as well. I have sort of skipped past all of the raw material stuff so far, and we've sort of got away with it because so many of the towns already have their own dedicated ore supplies. But we'll probably be getting around to that fairly soon. I would say before we have blue science sorted, because like the science outpost itself will need copper and iron and stuff delivering in, and of course blue science itself needs steel. We probably won't be making that on site in the blue science town. Anyway, we're going to start by setting up some defences. We're doing the usual system of having the 4 turrets around the station, and then we're expanding some walls out, and they extend a bit further to the east because we need to contain the copper deposit, and we'll slowly mine that away. It'll probably last us a very long time because I'm not sure. The copper usage shouldn't be super high in this outpost, but that would be because of a lack of production rather than anything else. We probably won't need that much in the way of advanced circuits for a while, because I find that the main use for them really is processing units and stuff like that. Anyway, we've hopped in our car. We found it over just north of Frackham, and we made our way back to the main base to resupply. We ran out of materials very quickly. We were already pretty low, I think, from making all the rails or something like that. We also made a couple more turrets and ended up running out of materials there as well. So we're quickly grabbing everything we could possibly need from the main base, also storing a bit of alien artifacts that we still have knocking about. Still very little in the way of biter trouble right now. It's lovely. It's lovely and quiet. I think at some point in the episode there is a single biter attack, but I don't even notice it happens. That it's partially because I've got so used to hearing the alarms endlessly droning on in like different series. But yeah, it's very quiet. There's a couple of bases coming into range over in the west that we want to be paying attention to. We'll perhaps deal with those next episode or something like that, because we've got to, at some point, they're going to start getting angry, particularly when we start having production going again. Things have been pretty much completely off for a while. Saying that though, the copper ore supply to the main base had actually run out, so what I'm doing is combining the copper lines so that we have sort of one copper line feeding the main base and Chipton, because of course the main base will cease to exist, so I have a separate mining operation for it. I don't know why I did that, and it just ended up running out and leaving it unsupplied. So now we've just got a splitter that splits it between the two. At the moment it's running a bit thin, but that is mostly because the belt was already empty. Once it's filled up again, things should slow down a lot, because there is very little going on in Chipton. We only occasionally visit, well, only rarely visit it to grab any circuits, and we only do like a stack. So things are moving very slowly on the copper front, and that's absolutely fine. We'll put in a couple of extra mining tools anyway. It's good to future-proof these sort of things. So there we go. I'm trying to sort of get it into a nice even line because I've sort of messed it up initially. There's a nice straight line on the left side of it, but on the right side it's all a bit messy still. But we're fixing it, and it'll be all nice and neat later on when some more mining tools have run out. So we'll hop over to Colbury, resupplying on coal, possibly also stone. I keep arriving in Colbury, resupplying on coal, and then leaving, and then thinking, oh wait, I also wanted to get stone, and having to come back again. And I'm going to start using the car a bit more as a storage thing. I do run off without grabbing any stone, and we make our way back over to the main base, resupplying once again, because I think I may have done a bunch of crafting a second ago, or I'm about to. I end up crafting 20 turrets, and that uses up all the supplies. Yep, there we go, crafting 20, and all the iron goes nearly, and all the gears completely go. So I have to run around supplying ourselves again. I'm always keeping plenty of circuits on because Chipton's a little bit more out of the way at the moment. I'm just sort of having like 2 stacks, and then if it gets down to less than 1 stack, I'll start to think about going back to Chipton. And then we remember to go and get the stone, popping back over to Colbury and grabbing a bunch of it. We're going to use our car for more storage because we're not in any sort of combat situations at the moment, so we can expect the car to not randomly explode at the hands of biters. So I've just got like 5 stacks of stone, concrete, and coal in there to help with resupplying. My inventories getting very full of all sorts of random rubbish. I really need to do a proper clean out, but for now I'm just using the car to store some of my extra materials. Part of the reason is that because I'm doing a lot of flooring and stuff now, I need a lot more in the way of certain materials, so I'm ending up with my inventory being more full of them. Because usually I only have like 2 stacks of stone bricks, and that'd be fine, but with all the walls and stuff and all the flooring I'm building, I suddenly need tons of it everywhere. Anyway, we've got plenty of guns now, so we can finish putting the defences all around the outpost. However, I'm not sure if we have quite enough left in the way of stone. We make a bunch of brick walls anyway, and start moving around. We're just going to sort of have an arbitrary wall at the moment based on the location of the copper deposit. We'll see about working in those constraints, but we can always expand out later, depending on like what space we need. The initial plan will be to set up a standard advanced circuit column, and it will almost certainly be running at like 5% capacity for a good long while. Well, it'll probably be more like it kicks in at full pelt for like 2 minutes and then it's good for an hour or something, until we actually start getting a steady usage of advanced circuits in the form of blue science and whatever else we can think of. So we're going to do our copper smelting on site, so we get that all set up, having it sort of scalable towards the south. We probably won't need that much of it. I'm not really sure of the ratios. I paid literally no attention to how much you would need, so I just set up like an arbitrary amount of miners and sort of a minimum amount of furnaces. Really, I just set up the 2 of them to see how that would, well, just to sort of establish the scalable system. And we don't even have a coal supply, so just dump a bit of coal onto the belt. I mean, we don't have a supply of anything yet, but even later on, I actually don't bother to put a coal supply in. I sort of forget about it, and then when I realise I need to do it, I can't be bothered. And it's sort of, it's the first sign of the trouble that we're going to be having with timetabling in Factorio towns, because there are certain, like, the way things sometimes work out means that it feels like you need to have one train that does everything, but then you don't have the throughput, so you go back to doing it the other way around. I'm just working out how to position the advanced circuit array. We're going to have it, well, I was trying to remember how I arranged it, because I forgot to check before I started the episode exactly how I set up my advanced circuit production, so I assume that it's something like 7 assemblers long, and go for that and work under those constraints. But yes, because there's so many different combinations of supplies and demands with the different towns, even in this early stage, it's already getting quite complicated. We need to have coal delivered literally everywhere, well, not everywhere but Chipton, and then we need circuits delivered to here, and plastic needs to be delivered to here, and it gets very confusing. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound that bad, honestly, when I think about it like that. I guess we just have a coal train that goes everywhere, and then a plastic and circuit train. But that's not what I did. I didn't bother with it in the end, but I will later on have to have a coal supply. The good thing about it, though, is that once we get to the electric furnaces, we won't need to do that anymore. We won't have to worry so much about coal needing to be everywhere. But we will still need to worry about it because of trains. Trains will need it, so we'll have to have quite a few of the towns have their own coal fueling systems. And that's something to watch out for. I'm not sure how long a train can really last without coal. I've never really sort of checked the time that it takes to burn it all away, but I'm wondering if we could not have it and then have the trains occasionally pop into like some sort of service station. That will probably be an absolutely terrible idea, resulting in all sorts of train breakdowns and stuff all the time. So I'm gonna let's pretend I never even thought of that. So anyway, I'm slowly remembering how I set up my advanced circuit design, and I realise I have got it slightly wrong. It is in fact 8 assemblers long, which is annoying because I put it right up against the walls, and in a minute I'll have to change that. But I've got it all working, and I'm quite proud of this design because I came up with it independently. I don't know if other people have come up with it since. I wouldn't be surprised, but I was quite proud of it, like creating it all myself initially. And since I came up with it, I use it for all of my advanced circuit needs in every game I play. It's nice and simple, really. It's just the idea of it is that it's got this cool arrangement of long-armed inserters that makes it sort of, it makes it all wavy in the middle. It's all wavy, okay, that's the cool thing. But anyway, we're going to put in the power stuff. This one requires the level 2, or whatever you want to call them, power poles, the medium electric poles. And I'm not really fond of using them because I always get annoyed if I have to use a combination of the newer ones and the older ones. So I always end up just continuing to use the older ones to keep a sort of a constant style or whatever. I can't think of the words for it, but you know what I mean. I want to use it everywhere. I want to be consistent with my power pole usage. And then these new ones come along and they ruin everything because they don't match. But they are useful in certain situations where you have extremely compressed systems with very little space to put power poles in. So this one uses medium electric poles, and I sort of allow it because it's its own particular thing. We've got this nice 5x4 grid of them, and then that connects up to the usual small power pole system. Really, what I should just do is replace them all. If there was like a way that you could tell bots to like replace all small electric poles with medium electric poles, then I would do that. Though that would then be really inefficient because they'd be in the positions they would be in if they were small electric poles and so on. It's very confusing and annoying, and I just end up not bothering with it. Eventually, I pretty much completely transition over to substations anyway, though sometimes I feel like that's too wasteful when you're just trying to power like one little machine. So yes, we've got the copper running in, and I decide to increase the smelting rate. Still have no idea about the ratios and stuff, but that really doesn't matter at this stage. We're continuing to be caring only about like getting things operational rather than worrying about throughput or anything like that. Though the design that I've got does work, like is sort of designed partially in like based on throughput. The way it actually works is that one copper wire assembler it can feed 8 advanced circuit assemblers. However, I have 7 because my design works better if you have an odd number of advanced circuit assemblers, and it allows for some leeway. Make sure that the belt is always full of copper wire, and you don't have it all running out if there's a sudden wave of production going on or something like that. So I'm happy with that. It works fairly well. If I did it the other way around, then the power poles would look weird, but it would still work, so really I should just do it. But we're going to carry on putting in the defences. Finishing it off, we've got most of the walls installed, but unfortunately we didn't have quite enough stone to finish it off, because it is something like 5 stone per wall or something. It's quite a lot really, so you burn through it fairly quickly when you're making walls. So we're going to make our way back to, well, I said the main base, but we're sort of going everywhere. So we're going back to everywhere else to resupply once again. Plenty more ammo and things like that. We won't need any more because we've got all of the guns fully kitted out over in the outpost. Doing a bit of repairing on some random light that I crashed into earlier. And we're also checking up on our concrete production. I feel like it's a bit left out really, because the concrete production is sort of not in the main base. It's very close to it, but it's off to the side and you have to sort of walk a bit to get to it. And it's just sort of its own little thing. Really, we need to have a dedicated thing. And I think if we have a stone town, then the concrete will be produced there. The only issue with that being that it requires iron ore, so I'm a bit confused about how to do it. Also, I was trying to work on roads there, but it just sort of didn't work out. Trying to make a road with concrete, and it looked a bit not nice, and it seemed a bit too wide, and it was also too close to the rails anyway, so we just got rid of it, left a gap there. We'll work that out later. There's still plenty of rail that needs to be switched over to the new design that I'm using for it. But we're over in Colbury resupplying as normal, though we've actually used up the entire stock of stone brick that the furnaces had handy. I think they've run out of coal, so I've resupplied them. Again, I could just have it built in. I should really just have it built in. But either way, we've got it resupplied, and we've got almost all the stone we were looking for. We've got like 9 stacks instead of 10, so whatever. And now we're going to set up the train. So we've got this little train here in Chipton. I say little, it's the same size as all the other trains. And this is going to be the one that starts delivering circuits to the advanced circuit outpost. So we have it set up in terms of the of its schedule, and we send it off to the Frackham North station, and we drive our way there ourselves. We want to be able to use the car to get back because this train's going to be busy doing its job. We don't want to interrupt it and have it take us to places. So we're going to set things up in Frackham. What we're doing is giving the cargo wagon some filtered spots for plastic, and then we're going to have the plastic loaded in, nice and simple. And then it's going to go on to the advanced circuit town, where the plastic and the circuits will be made into advanced circuits with the help of a little bit of copper. And then we're good. I mean, we could have the coal delivered in. Well, I'll work it out. Seeing as we're making advanced circuits in this town, I could then transition to the electric furnaces. I can't remember if they require blue science or not. We either have them or we don't, I guess. If they require blue science, then we will have to pay attention to the coal situation in the advanced circuit town, because otherwise we'll end up running out and then everything will shut down, and that'll be annoying. and we'll need it for blue science. So the train arrives, we get rid of the old train that was just there for sort of measuring purposes, we can repurpose that somewhere else in future, and now we're going to set up the unloading system. I am sort of biasing how this entire system is working, because there are twice as many slots for circuits as there are for plastic, and there are also 3 inserters for circuits, and then 2 for plastic. The reason is that circuits are used in more things, so my reasoning is that at some point the train will probably have to deliver electronic circuits either somewhere else as well, or it will have to deliver extra ones here for the production of processing units or something like that. I'm still deciding if I should make them here or not. It doesn't really matter at this point, because it's going to be a while before we start using them, so I guess I'll consider it at the appropriate time. But there we go, we have advanced circuits being produced. The plastic and the circuits are coming in. Of course, with the circuits having more inserters feeding it, it builds up a lot quicker. And the plastic is, of course, in shorter supply anyway, so it does run out after a minute. But we now have advanced circuits being made in all of these assemblers. So now what I'm going to do is connect up the loading for advanced circuits onto the train. And at the moment it doesn't have anywhere to go, but we're going to have it loaded onto this particular train anyway, in the front cargo wagon. And then in future, when it's needed somewhere, we can, I guess, give this train the job. It'll probably turn out that we completely repurpose this train and take the circuits out again, depending on how it works out. Unfortunately, this turns out to be fairly fiddly, because there's all sorts of different things to manoeuvre around, including other belts and power poles and things like that. But anyway, let's talk about the situation with the name. This was going to be the episode where I announced the name, and it was probably going to be Silicon Valley, but I've changed my mind, because as was pointed out by someone in the comments of the previous video, that doesn't really fit the style. It doesn't really fit the sort of theme that I'm going for, because everything's supposed to be British sounding. It's supposed to sound like it was named in the Industrial Revolution in somewhere in Britain, and it doesn't. It's called Silicon Valley. It's an American name. I mean, it was a name made by Americans. You can't get sort of more literally. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, it's not a British name. British people didn't come up with it, so it sort of doesn't fit. And the more I think about it, the more I realise how true that is. It just sounds so American. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not what I'm going for. It's not what I'm trying to do. So I've decided to change my mind. I mean, if people really want me to call it Silicon Valley, I will. Or we could change it a bit, call it Sandy something, because that's sort of silicon-y sort of thing. But I'm just going to say, come up with names, as normal, basically. Any sort of themes that involve circuits. If everyone really, really wants me to do Silicon Valley, then I can't really complain. It doesn't make that much difference to things at the end of the day. But I do want to give people a good chance to come up with a good British name for it. And you could always do much wiring on the boards or whatever. So yes, we're setting up the usual stone stuff as much as we can. We're very low on stone right now. We keep using all of it up on walls and things, and also you need hundreds of squares of this stuff to actually carpet this stuff. So this town is going to remain nameless for now. I forget what the names of the stations are. I probably should have mentioned it. It's always good to sort of credit those whose names are in the hat, because they've contributed extra to the cause of helping Factorio. But anyway, we'll carry on work. We've got the wall filled in, so we've now got the defences fully set up. We'll make a little gate so the car can get out, and this time hopefully we won't crash into the wall on the way out, which I think we did last time. And there it is, the train is being loaded now with the advanced circuits to go somewhere, anywhere, whatever, we'll find out later on. So next towns, I don't know whether we'll start doing the blue science town next, or whether we will do the the copper and the iron and the steel and stone towns. We might have a combined steel and stone town, that might make a bit more sense. But then iron ore is present to make concrete. We can also make rails there, which is an important thing for any stone or steel town, having some proper rail production going on. Anyway, we've gone back into the main base, where we are going to finish the episode. We're going to do a little bit more work resupplying, and then we're going to get rid of this science production. We don't need it anymore. It's just been sat here not doing anything, and the next time we plan to do any science will be when we have a dedicated science town. We're also getting rid of the circuit production, because of course that is done in Chipton. The only things we're having produced are the stuff that's not being made in sort of large quantities anywhere else. I mean, copper and iron are being made in Chipton, but I'm not counting that because it's not set up in as convenient a way as it is over here. The purpose of the stuff over in Chipton is to be turned into circuits, and over here it's all going into storage chests and things like that. So clear it all away, and it means that we have all the materials necessary when the time comes to set up the science town. And it does unfortunately mean that our inventory gets extremely full. We end up filling our inventory up entirely with concrete. So I start using the logistics trash slots to store some stuff that I don't need. I favour the science things because we won't need those for a while. And then I put a couple of like resources that we have sort of in excess, like belts and circuits. And we're going to finish off by clearing away a bit more of this flooring. It's not got a purpose anymore. There's nothing built on top of it. And we're getting very close to clearing it all out. I'm just going to clear out this top bit for now. And then we will finish it there. So we'll go back to the middle and we shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.